In this video, I'm going to teach you the basics of machine embroidery all in 6 minutes.
Now, with so many variables and so many moving pieces, this can be a challenging task, but I've broken down this training in a super easy way called the Embroidery Triangle, so it can all make sense. Feel free to screenshot all the important references and share this video with all your embroidery friends. Let's get started. So the embroidery triangle consists of 3 sides. Each of these sides are critical and must be done correctly for your finished product to come out nice and clean. Let's start with side number 1, and of course this is your thread path. This is the only thing that will be seen when your project is done. You have 2 types of common thread. We have 40 weight and 60 weight polyester thread. So your thread is going to travel through some very important pieces, and every piece that your thread encounters serves a vital purpose. So let's trace the thread path. It leaves the thread station and goes through the upper tension, through the thread tube, and into the lower tension. So these 2 tensions that it just went through is a make or break features. Your tensions have to be set up so it can pass the eye test. For today, just screenshot the eye test, the rules and the guides, and I will go into super depth in this topic on a later video. So let's continue on the thread path. Now it simply makes its way down through post B, post C, through another clip, and to the take up lever, through the eyelet check spring, through the eyelet, and into the needle and presser foot. Now here we have the most important connection. This is where the needle, thread, and the bobbin connect to create a stitch. Now let's quickly talk about the needle. You have many different needles that serve different purposes. Here's a list of your most common needles and when to use what. The final stop of your thread is the connection it makes with the bobbin. The bobbin has its own tension that absolutely has to be dialed in correctly to balance out our eye test. Now, once your tension is dialed in and your bobbin is spinning clockwise and your bobbin housing is nice and clean, we now have the thread path ready to go and side number 1 on our embroidery triangle good to go. The second side of our embroidery triangle is your hooping. And your hooping consists of 2 key important steps. The first step is choosing the correct stabilizer. These here are your stabilizers, and we have so many options to choose from. So choosing the right backing is extremely important to prevent puckering or loss of registration. So here's a guide when to use what backing. The second step of hooping is the actual hooping. Now the main thing is to make sure your item is completely flat and taut. Your hooping cannot have any wrinkles, cannot be loose, or anything that will cause your garment to shift and lose registration. And also making sure your item is 100% straight. These here are the mighty hoops, and these are pretty much industry standard to make the hooping process quick, easy, and accurate. And once your item is properly hooped with the correct backing, it's straight, it's nice and flat. Now our second side of the embroidery triangle is complete. And the third side of the embroidery triangle is definitely a make or break area, and that is your digitizing. Your digitized file is what tells your embroidery machine exactly where and in what order to place your stitches. When you're starting off, this is definitely an area you want to outsource. And if you're focused on production and have a complex design, a good digitizer can make your file efficient and specific for your garment. Here I'm going to embroider on a towel, and as you can see, there's many behind the scene details that you must program into the software. For instance, since it's going on a towel is fluffy, a little thicker than let's say a polo. So I have to add extra underlay so my stitches can cover the towel. Once my item is digitized, I want to review the entire thread replay and make sure nothing is out of order and no unnecessary cuts are introduced. So we start as an idea, and that idea can be put on paper. And once put on paper, then you could have a graphic designer design your file. saved as a JPEG, a PNG, a SVG. And now the digitizer is going to take that file and trace over it and introduce it into actual stitching. This is the embroidery triangle. This is the basics of embroidery. Every side of the embroidery triangle must be present, must be done correctly in order for your project to come out nice and clean. So let's see our final product. Here, I made sure the embroidery triangle was all put in place, and as you can see, this towel is good to go. So my goal for this channel is to go into specific details in some of the topics we talked about today, okay? But let's keep the conversation going. If you have any questions, leave them down below so we can all learn as a group and as a community. Thank you for stopping by today, and like always, peace out.